And we're recording. Everybody, welcome to the Bitcoin Ben Show and the
Road to Ruta, baby. Road to Ruta.
Road to Ruta Bitcoin Ben again. Boy, we keep knocking heads on stuff, which is great though.
And we love
Because
each other at the same time.
isn't it weird how you can disagree but yet still like each other? Somebody tell the left.
Yeah. At least I'm not fighting a pedo this time, right?
Yeah. No doubt. Look at you, you slim, trim, loving machine.
I know. I'm still losing weight. Amazing. I'm still not drinking. And it's like, what am I going to do? I'm going to get down to like my designed weight, and my head is clear. My body's feeling better than it ever has. I don't know what's going on.
Well, you lost weight and I found it. So
Yeah, you're
we're doing
welcome.
good.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. It was some kind of transfer.
No, actually, I'm also losing weight.
You're looking very slick.
Well, thank you very much. I feel very slick. I feel as slick as ever. No, before everyone, welcome to the show. This is Bitcoin Ben, and of course, we all know Bix Weir, the famous gold bug, more silver than gold, and now the famous cryptocurrency folk singer,
Okay.
Mr. Bix Weir from www.roadtoruta.com. Check out his channel if you have not checked it out. If you're watching this on my channel, if you're watching it on Bix's channel, check my channel out, Bitcoin Ben.
Exactly.
But right before we started recording, I said, "Oh, I got to tell you a story," and then I said, "No, let's do it. Let's wait until we record." Oh, uh, oh, hell's bells!
You
What
got
were we
hit
talking
record?
about? Oh, no. I'm recording. I just can't remember what the hell I was going to tell you now. It had something to do with my wife. We were talking. Ah, I lost. Oh well. If it's a funny story, funny as hell.
If it
But
comes up, just throw it in there.
exactly. All right. So if you watched the first Road to Ruta video this morning, the Horn of Z's edition, uh, then you kind of saw old Bixie boy kind of giving me the little slap around. You're like, Ben, you know better. Why are you supporting this whole futures or Bitcoin futures, and this is bad, this is horrible, this, and in a way I agree with you, but then in a way I don't, and
I'm
that's
on the same page with you. In a way,
it,
I agree
it,
with you, but in a way, I absolutely don't. And
it's it and him and we got on the phone, we were sending texts back and forth, and uh and all. It never got heated like angry, but it was passionate. He had his argument, I had
I can
mine.
read the texts if you like.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. I mean,
Where were we? Hold on. I was sending you videos.
Oh, dude, you were
Oh my God.
you were locked and loaded. You're like, I'm taking down Bitcoin Ben once and for all.
um, wow, we texted a lot.
Yeah, you'd have to read a lot in order to cover it all. But I
Okay,
think,
you
yep,
ready?
shoot.
Um, you sent me. So you started it, Ben. You started it. You said, although well, here, I'll just read them. Just watch your video. We need to do another video tonight. And you're like crying, laughing, a little crying, laughing face. I said, ha, listen to this interview about what happens when in physically deliverable futures markets. FYI, he was murdered after this interview. At 8:50, he discusses deliverable futures. That's Bart Chilton talking to Chris Marcus. Bart Chilton's the old CFTC chairman who presided over the futures market on the comics. And he gave an interview basically saying, yeah, they're rigging a $5 trillion silver market with futures. And then you said, I agree with everything you're saying, but we have to live in reality. We cannot control everything and everyone. Plus, this is a global thing. The U.S. is not going to be able to manipulate the market for long. Okay, I'm not even going to comment. Well, I'll just read, and then we can comment on it. I said, ha, with an exclamation point. Would love to argue with you on that one. Discussion tomorrow? And then you kept going. Speaking of that, manipulating markets is the market. If it's moving, someone is manipulating it to fit their agenda. That's free market. Whether we agree or not, it's reality. We can wish that everything was fair, but there will always be rich and poor. Rich will lead, poor will follow. It's nature. Strong will keep growing. Weak don't. I'm in for the video. And I said, let's just let the criminals run the world then. That's a true free market. And you said, as long as there's more than one person on earth, there will be different opinions. There are people out there that value derivatives. And as long as there are people, as long as there are those people, derivatives will exist. And I said, only one way to guarantee that the bad guys stay in control. Say nothing about market manipulation. That ain't going to happen on my watch. I was getting all righteous on you.
Oh, I know. You were preaching.
And you said, oh, my God, here's the long one. They are criminals in your eyes. Not everyone agrees with you. And that's okay. You want a purist market. That's great. But it will never happen as long as there are people who don't want purist markets. The world markets will never be what you want. It's what the world wants. And the world is a collective of differing opinions. That means neither a purist nor a purist market or a non-purist market will be the only one. Then I said, unless the plan is a creative destruction event with derivatives, then we get to start fresh and the entire world would be against derivatives. That's where we're headed very soon, in my opinion. Let's do a video. And you said, I'm in. I'll let you know when I'm home. Let me ask you this. You kept poking the bear. Let me ask you this. When in history have we ever had a fresh start? And I said, after the Great Flood. The derivative time bomb will be the financial Great Flood. And you said, I thought you weren't a religious man, with a winky smiley face. I said, nothing to do with religion. It's a fact in history. And then you went off. If what you just said is true, then man cannot have a fresh start. Nature must do it. Besides, I bet during the Great Flood, the people with grain manipulated the people without grain, so they didn't get a fresh start. Perspective? I said, nope. Greenspan designed it and implemented it with the deregulation of derivatives in the 1990s. I sent you the movie The Warning, Frontline movie, really good movie from, I think it's the early 2000s. And then you went off again. You're missing my point. As long as there are humans around, there will never be complete agreement on what's right and wrong. Don't get me wrong. I completely agree with you. I'm just saying you and I will never win or lose. We'll just keep fighting the fight and love it. And I said, I love when we disagree almost as much as I love when we agree. And then we gave smiley faces and kisses. And now we're talking on the phone.
Yeah, but you left out one. What about the whole makeup sex?
Well, yeah, that was the smiley faces and kisses. I don't want to get this video banned. He said, he gave me a thumbs up. I love you, Bix. I blew him a little kissy face, smiley face. And he said, the makeup sex is best, LMFAO. Wow. That's how man love happens.
That's right. So basically, I see the physically backed futures as a positive because I can't get rid of it. So seeing it as a negative is irrelevant. I have to choose what point of view I'm going to look at everything. And if I can't change it right now, then I have to actually make my choices in a positive light and see if there's any way that event could be used in a positive way. That's what I'm really saying is do I want these people involved? No, they're the same people that plucked up the last system. But uh, in reality, they're there. So I have to put them in the equation. And I choose to look at it as, all right, if they do wind up running a crooked market, some of that capital will be held in actual cryptos. And that's what I see as the positive. They may not have a 1-to-1 holdings of what they're trading, but they may have half of that. They may have a quarter of that, and they will exist. So I might as well look at it and go, well, it's better than what we got now, which is futures that only cash out using fiat. Oh, that was actually my reason for looking at it slightly positive, and I actually really positive.
Okay. And I get where you're coming from. The problem and the issue I always have is we can do something about it. We can fight it. We can scream about it. Most people say, "Oh, that doesn't do anything." You're the little guy.
Uh, when you say we, who do you mean?
Me.
Yeah,
I can do something
that's
about
what I thought.
Absolutely. And if history serves, being involved with people with the GATA folks, with the silver fighting folks, with Ted Butler, being involved with those people taught me one thing. If you don't say anything, you're going to guaranteed get screwed up the booty. If you yell, scream, and fight, at least you'll make their roundabout trip of rigging markets a hell of a lot harder. And it was proven, I think it has been proven in silver and gold, that we spread awareness that those markets are rigged, that those markets are criminal, that they will fleece you at every turn. We haven't got them to shut it down yet, but I think that's coming. I think with the announcement just yesterday of Morgan Stanley getting busted for rigging the silver market in the very time that, I was most active from 2008 to 2014. So was GATA, and we were screaming it from the rooftops. They could have just swept it under the rug. Now, Morgan Stanley paid, which is B of A, paid, I think, a $25 million fee, which is nothing. But it's nothing. But if you read the statement of what they were agreeing to, they were agreeing to turn state's evidence against the people that were with them rigging the markets. This is all right in line with the JP Morgan trader who pleaded guilty and said, oh, it was my bosses, and they still haven't sentenced him. They put that off to December. So I do think we can fight. I do think we should fight. But the key is to understand that these things are being approved right now because the cryptos are getting so big and they're going to get a lot bigger. And if it gets a lot bigger without these control mechanisms in place, futures, options, swaptions, all that stuff, backed in LedgerX, without that in place, it will continue to grow, and they can't have that. So they put these futures and options trading pits or trading platforms in place so they can control the market. Yes, they'll let it run high. They'll get everybody excited, and then they'll slam it down. And it's so easy to do with a click of a mouse when you're only dealing in derivatives. Because I don't care if it does have, they'll say, oh, we have this physical component, deliverable. Well, the COMEX has deliverable gold and silver, the COMEX futures and options. Those are deliverable. Yes, they put parameters around it, but you're going to find when these exchanges come out, the delivery mechanism for like backed is going to be only authorized participants, only a certain amount, capped at a certain amount, and there's always a back door. And that's what the contracts are going to read, but they don't show you that. And it took us years to get the COMEX contracts to show us, oh my God, here's the only 12 people that can take delivery. Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan, Citibank, Deutsche Bank. And you go down there and say, this is a gigantic control mechanism for price. And what it does, the sad thing that it does is that I agree with you. All the big money's coming in, but that big money is going to be going to futures and options instead of into the real thing. And that's a problem, because all that money, if there were no futures and options, all the money in gold and silver would have gone into the real thing, and those markets would be freely traded by now. And they couldn't risk real money going into gold and silver. So they created these derivative exchanges, and that's what we're dealing with here. These are derivative exchanges. If the big money wants to buy Bitcoin or Litecoin, go onto the exchanges and buy it. Screw the futures and options. That's it. That's a market manipulation tool. And Bart Chilton said that very thing on that interview before he was killed. So I don't think I'll get killed. I don't have that kind of pull. But
I don't know, Bix.
What I'm saying is there is no difference between what's going on in gold and silver, between that and the growth of this market. It is not going to be growing as much as it would without the futures and options in there.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you on a couple of things there. The differences between the gold and silver futures markets, which I agree were completely manipulated, is now we have a blockchain, right? And now we have a way to track wallets where there are people and there are companies and there are people at other exchanges that can literally, if you give them a wallet address and you give them an internet with a laptop, they can have a name of who owns that or where it's going in about a half hour. And that is going to give us the capability of looking at their reported balance sheet and looking at the blockchain and going, okay, the number of futures and the volumes that you're reporting do not add up to the blockchain number in accordance with your wallet addresses.
If that is available to these exchanges, that would be a huge step forward. But here's the problem: price is not determined on chain in that example. The volume back and forth is going to be off chain.
Right. I completely agree.
And that's where price is set.
Well, if it was only in America, I would agree. If it was only on that one exchange, I would agree. But if they launch a platform and they manipulate the price and they push it down, and there are other global entities close to or as large as them, then we'll have arbitrage, or did I say it right?
You got it. You nailed it that time.
Arbitrage amongst the exchanges, and that will actually level that out. This is a global market based on blockchain that is actually going to have a self-correcting global line. Because
are you sure? Because I mean, that's what we got now. I mean, it doesn't happen in gold and silver. It doesn't happen on the crypto exchanges.
No. We do not have a blockchain in gold and silver. We have no idea how, even in the whole earth, we don't know how much gold is there.
I do.
Which is, well, yeah, but you cannot give me down.
I can do under over.
Right. But with the Bitcoin, with Litecoin, I can look on the blockchain right now and I can tell you exactly down to the number of Litecoin that exist right now and how many will exist in 4 minutes. And
you're preaching to the congregation or the choir.
Right. So what I'm saying is the blockchain system, they're entering into a system that has coded restrictions that are viewable by the general public and other exchanges, and that's gonna, they can lie, but they can be proven liars very, very quickly
But by who? That's the other thing is the
by their
regulators are in on
competition.
the game.
No,
The
no, no.
reg-
I'm not even talking about screw regulators. They're stupid anyway. They're irrelevant. They're mark my words, people. Governments are going to be irrelevant in
Woohoo!
about 2 years.
Oh, by the
And
way, for all you guys, I just talked to Jeff Berwick about that on a video I posted today. So check that out. Jeff is an amazing guy when it comes to freedom and life without government. So we talked a lot about that.
yep, and you ain't seen a guy drink until you've seen Jeff Berwick drink on his wedding day. Ooh, when we were in Vegas last year. Wow, that guy could tear him up, boy. Uh,
He's a professional.
yeah, yeah. Well, me and him, we go toe to toe,
There you go.
But uh, we're not going to need regulators because we're going to have competition. The best regulator is competition. There is no better regulator, because if they try manipulating the price on their exchange, yeah, you drop your price, you're going to have everyone and their brother trying to buy your crap up at your stupid little price because you're trying to manipulate, and they'll just get wiped out. They it it we're moving into a system that is going to be, and thank God for it, going to be mostly actually based on true competition. And that's why the governments are going to become irrelevant. It's why, oh God, what's that one representative or senator who like flipped out on Facebook? Uh, you have to stop your plans of launching this
Oh, that was
cryptocurrency.
in Congress. That was Brad Sherman.
No. Whenever whenever Facebook announced they were launching Libra,
Maxine Waters.
Maxine Waters, yeah, you must halt all production on this project. And what they don't understand is as we move along, technology is going to make them irrelevant because, and let me explain this, and it will make absolute plucking sense. Government's original role was as a ledger of ownership. That was the only thing that the initial governments, at least in America and several other countries and stuff like that, ever since of like the Magna Carta, was a ledger of ownership and taxation and trade. Right? That's what the government was. Well, our government now is such a corrupt bureaucracy pretending to be a ledger of ownership, liabilities, taxation, trade, world fairness, and all this other crap. Well, we're entering into an age where global recognition of ownership is going to be on a blockchain and not in some, Washington ledger that shows that you own this plot of land or that plot of land. It's going to be on the blockchain. And the governments, when it comes with currencies, and and this is what I think is going to happen. I think that Facebook is going to try and launch Libra, because it's not just the Facebook doing it, it's the Libra Association out of Switzerland. And so that's out of America's jurisdiction. Now, it's not out of the UN's jurisdiction, but the UN is just a group of people. just like the government of America is just a group of people.
But they could set the Facebook coin back 10 years if they get unless they abide by what the government dictates, at least for now. The governments could say, all right, Facebook, you can do what you want overseas. We're going to destroy your company right here and right now unless you stop this coin.
They
And
could do
they
that.
could. I don't think they will. I think, and I talked with Jeff quite a bit about this. It's both a blessing and a curse. One, it's a ridiculous coin because it's based on the U.S. dollar. It's guaranteed to lose compared to all other cryptocurrencies because it'll be going down. But it introduces 3-4 billion people to the concept of a cryptocurrency, and then they can do some comparison shopping. Do you want to own a Libra coin that doesn't do anything compared to the basket of currencies, or do you want to own Litecoin, who's going up 1,000% a month? And people are going to just run out of Libra, try to get other cryptos.
I'm right there with you, but the part that you're missing is, what is the Facebook? What was it originally?
It's CIA, it's NSA, it's DARPA.
It's government. The government is not going to fight Facebook. May look like it, but they're not. And the Facebook is not going to fight the government. This is where we come into the point of global fascism. This is where
that's what they want, right? Yeah.
Yeah, which is, hey, go for it. See how well.
I read a great report, kind of a tell-all about Zuckerberg, how he doesn't even know how to code.
Nope.
It was all a made-up story. Larry Summers at Harvard is the guy. It was a social experiment by DARPA and the CIA, and Zuckerberg was just the guy they had groomed, and they threw him in charge. He doesn't even know how to code, and he's supposedly the creator of face. It was ridiculous, and supposedly every time he has a big decision, he excuses himself in the room and calls someone. They tell him what to do. He comes back and tells people where to put this decision. He is a patsy. It's crazy what has gone on, but yeah, and that's why I'm so mad at YouTube and Google and all those. They're all funded by the U.S. government, not Secret Service, but the CIA, In-Q-Tel, which is the CIA investment thing. These are public platforms because we paid for them. They should not be censoring our videos.
Facebook was originally a program written called LifeLog.
Mm-hmm.
LifeLog, the day that DARPA ended LifeLog was the same exact day that the Facebook platform launched.
Amazing. What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. And your idea that they're going to go out and they'll threaten Facebook to shut them down, that's all crap. What is going on is that this is all together. The cryptos, the Facebook, Google, the cryptos, the government, the global governments, this is all actually part of the same movement, but where we're at war, and it's why I'm actually doing my cryptocurrency tour, is we have an opportunity to take away a lot of their power if enough of the little guys ride the wave of cryptocurrency. Because at our meetups we've went to, and in New Jersey, everyone loves cryptos. Completely agree. Cryptos are great. You know what they loved more? Freedom.
Absolutely.
They loved freedom more than they loved cryptos. They loved freedom, or they loved cryptos because of the freedom that cryptos provided in their choice of currency. And we're at a place where the the old system has created the the structure to drain the old economic wealth out of the old system into the new one. And this ties with 2017, the the run up. That you're right, Bix. That was all manipulated. That was Heather. That was many other things manipulated. Then they brought it back down with manipulation. That, as I've said for the last year and a half, that was a test run. They needed to see the level of individual participation to see how quickly or how slowly once they put this thing in motion, how quickly would this transition happen. And that's why Jamie Dimon and all the others came out talking FUD, dropping the price. He goes, it it was about accumulating more of the Bitcoin.
Mhm.
That's what this whole thing's been about. Accumulating more of the cryptos. It's the over the counters I talk to. They uh, it's it's why last year during the whole 2018 I kept saying my guy up in New York is telling me that these large friggin' banks have traders working 24 hours a day on a schedule that every 12 hours of trading and buying, they remove the cryptos off the platform into a designated wallet. And they were who were buying the dips. That's who was buying every single dip. And now, see, then you got to throw Trump in here. Trump is also a wild card that they weren't ready for. Trump, and if you want to know the truth, Trump is what actually kicked this all off. In 2017, look at the date when cryptos really started to turn the corner and really started to gain momentum. It was right after he was uh, inaugurated. All right, they knew they had lost the presidency, and they know who Trump is. They know who the American First group is. Those are all ex-military, ex-CIA, and other people involved in mostly NSA more than CIA. But as soon as Trump won, they knew that their clock was ticking because this was all planned for. The absorption of the old economic system into the new digital cryptocurrency system was planned. They just thought they had more time. Well, when Trump won and Hillary didn't get in the office because Hillary was going to take us to war with Russia. And while that all was going on, the structure for the cryptocurrency new system would be able to be built. And they'd have the excuse of the war to point at for the economic collapse. Well, when Trump won, they didn't have that anymore. That's why as soon as Trump won, as soon as he got in the office, you start seeing cryptocurrencies go up because that was them. They had already set in motion. They were so sure Hillary was going to win that they had already set in motion certain participants in the cryptocurrency world that had, if he passed, say, shall we say,
So
maybe a
you're
few.
talking about the bad guys. When you say they,
Yes,
the bad
yes,
guys in the financial crypto world.
yes. The people who send other people letters.
Yeah.
And uh, and they had already been put in place though, and they had already moved things along. B- but now they couldn't drag their feet. They couldn't slowly turn up the economic heat on all of the frogs. They had to crank up the heat to see how many frogs would jump out. And
Okay.
and 2017 was a test to to actually find out, crunch the numbers using the blockchain to rate the level of adoption of the general public. At what price did it need to rise to to transition the general public over into it? So they ran it up in 2018. December 15th, 2017, that's when the CMA group launched their futures. And that was the pinnacle. That day that they launched the futures was when it started coming down. The futures were used to manipulate the market through the media and through the amount of cryptocurrencies they were able to purchase and buy, and also using the amount GOX coins that that they have control of, and they push the market back down using high frequency trading, all this other tools they use. They push the market back down. Well, d- during 2018 and also 2017, they were creating the system, and they had to hurry the pluck up and do it because they no longer had 4 or 6 years. They had 2 years in order to get 6 years worth of work done. And that's why uh, that's why we see such a frantic move now. They got 1 month left. 1 month left, and everybody knows it. Everybody in governments across it. It's why Vladimir Putin came out and put out a financial dictate. You will have regulations set for cryptocurrencies by this date. What's that date? Middle of next month. When is the G20 meeting? Isn't it this weekend?
Yeah, Trump meets with Putin on Friday.
Bingo. When uh, the FATF, when do their global uh, cryptocurrency regulations kick into gear?
It's like July 20 something.
Middle of next month. It's it's that because here, I don't know if you can see this. You can kind
I
of see it.
I was gonna watch your video. That was your video today, right?
Yeah, yeah. Go back and watch my video from what's today's date, the 26th.
26, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're watching this in the future, watch it on the 26th.
Go back in the past.
Right, in the past. And because when you launch a deflationary currency like Bitcoin, it has a it has a predictable rate of growth. And at some point in that growth model, it reaches what it reaches basically where it goes parabolic until it absorbs all of the inflationary currencies. It's
Now, when I always had a problem with people saying that Bitcoin was deflationary because I mean, in the strict terms, and it's inflationary because the supply is increasing. It's slowly. It's much slower than all other
no,
currencies, but it's the strict term of inflation is the increase in the money supply. So it is inflationary. It's just a lot. On the price side, yes, that's where the deflation comes. It buys more and more over time.
yeah, that's because there are two definitions of inflation deflation. You have Keynesian definition and you have Austrian definition. They're two different definitions. And that's where people get all screwed up. That's what messes up repeat shift every time. Because when he says inflation, what he's talking about is money supply. Well, people hear him and they think price.
Right.
It's completely different. But what
All
I'm
economics can be thrown out the window, if you ask me.
right now they can, because see, this is what, and this is which I won't do in this video, but this is my argument why XRP will not ever take over the cryptocurrency world, because a true currency is structured in the ways of nature, right? If if you grasp currency and what it truly is it is a tangible or mathematical item that replicates the growth and environment of nature. It's called value added accumulative growth. All right, when you plant a seed, it's absorbing nutrients from its surroundings and it grows. It as you add the chemicals, the value added to the seed grows. All right, that's the absorption of the quote unquote uh, assets or energy around the seed. And a currency, and this is high level economics, this is not what they teach you in high school, is currency must replicate nature or it is not a true currency that can be used on its own. Like gold was a great example, but that time is over. That's not coming back. What we have now is we have the Bitcoin. Now, the Satoshi Nakamoto, whoever or whatever group that is, people don't understand the genius that this is. This is
Hang on, but before I forget, you're saying Bitcoin is a currency. I would argue that it's not. It's being taken away from the currency side and more of a store of value, whereas I think Litecoin is
no.
more of a currency than Bitcoin.
It uh, when I say currency, what uh, I'm using the word currency. Maybe I should change, but currency's right. It, exchange of value, value added. A value added item is a currency. Right? The true definition is a value added item. Like uh, this piece of paper right here, right? Blah blah blah. Right on this side, it's blank. It's worth less blank than if it has print on it. All right, that print is added value to that paper. All right, you use. All right, now how it's added value in pure currency relation is energy. And when I say energy, I literally mean energy. The universe is is at its core is energy. And if your currency, that the root word of currency is current, all right? Like an electrical current.
Flowing through
It's
the economy.
bingo, bingo. If you if your currency it is not able to be added onto or cannot accumulate value by absorbing energy, then it is not a true currency. Gold was the closest currency, true, pure currency humanity ever had. But now we have the Bitcoin, and how Satoshi Nakamoto cre- or how they did it with the mining. The mining is the key because the mining gives it its value added is at the electricity level. It's it's how rare is it, how much electricity it takes to generate it, and how it's distributed and the use cases and all that. That's what makes a perfect currency. And for the first time in history, we have a lightning quick mathematical currency that is actually based on an origination cost of electricity. And that right there is literally the perfect definition for a currency. I think that Satoshi Nakamoto was God.
Aren't we all though, Ben?
A little bit. We're all a little piece of heaven. It, but this is all. This is all leading towards freedom because cryptocurrency and blockchain, which is mathematics. Mathematics is actually based on natural balance. Mathematics will always actually balance out. The universe always balances out. It's nature, it's how it works. We're not going to have to win this war because we don't have to. Nature is going to win it for us. Now, there'll always be bad people. Don't get me wrong. We aren't going to ever have like a perfect world because there's too many humans. Humans have opinion. That leads to disagreement. But what we are going to have is we're finally going to have a world where you don't have to care what somebody else thinks. And this is how. Because no one's going to have the economic authority over people. You're you're more of a slave with your money than you are with somebody holding a freaking gun to your head. Because we're all slaves right now because we aren't in control of our money and our monies are centralized. Remove the centralization and rely on a creative destruction model of improvement in the cryptocurrencies and also in Bitcoin. And it will lead us to economic freedom. Now, that doesn't mean you'll be rich, but what you own, you own. No one can take it away from you unless you give it away.
Unless you're not holding your private keys, which we've screamed at everybody about doing anyway.
Absolutely. This is a fight. This is a struggle, but I love the fight and I love the struggle. It's but we're we're leading into a world where gov- governments are going to be they're not going to be defeated. They're just going to be pushed aside because it's not going to matter
We're
anymore.
not going to need them.
Exactly. We won't need the government and we
Okay, you
won't
win.
need yeah, we'd we won't need the central banks
We don't need
because
derivatives.
right, and he derivatives will always exist. It because
We can choose not to play with them if we want.
yes, we
I can
could,
personally. I can.
right, because a derivative is just an IOU that somebody else values.
It's a side bet.
Right. It's hey, I say I own gold. Let me write this on a piece of paper. There you go. I own gold. When you need some gold, bring that back. I'll give it to you. It's it's and it but you'll never get rid of derivatives as long as you have humans. And
I think we are going to about. We're very close to going through something that will sour the taste in people's mouths of derivatives for the next 100 years.
I,
And
I
that'd be a good day.
yes, I completely agree with that. That the level of derivatives will fall, but in 150 years,
It'll all happen again.
exactly, people will forget history because we're actually going through exactly what happened in Rome. You know, Rome had derivatives. Rome had had uh,
Had
had bre-
pedophiles.
Rome had pedophiles. Rome had bread and circus. You know, you give them food and you entertain them, and we can do whatever we want in the government. And we'll devalue the money, and we'll uh, and women will dress like men, and actually men will dress like women because
Weren't you dressing up like a woman the other day, Ben?
I was, but that was for my blues, baby. That
Oh,
was
that
for
makes
my
it so much
blues.
better.
It, but this is cyclical. Like I said, since the Great Flood, humans cannot have a fresh. All right, time out, time out, time out. All right, everybody freeze. Nobody do nothing.
But that's exactly what they've built with the derivative bubble.
No,
They've built a system that will implode and make everything freeze financially.
nope.
How are you going to get rid of your $20 quadrillion?
Because using the illusion of credit and the system that they've created.
So why are they putting Deutsche Bank in such a precarious position? The largest bank derivative
Pressure,
holder.
because they need something to point at.
Well, yeah, but if there's no doubt, there's no economist around, there's no politician around that says any of these large banks can fail and the system will be fine. Nobody says that because it's not
Nope,
true.
that's
So
right.
if you have the failure of a quote too big to fail bank, nobody talks about the consequences of failure. Consequences are you lose everything. You lose your checking account, your savings account, your retirement funds, all your crypto is held by a third party, all your gold held by a third party.
Oh,
That's
I'm
what.
not saying it's going to be easy, but what they're doing is I'm only doing what I can do. What I see them doing, and I know they're doing this, they are creating the system with ICE, Intercontinental Exchange, uh, all of these crypto inlets
But
from the old.
what a waste of time and energy if the derivative bubble goes off. I mean,
It,
that would level the playing field instantly.
the derivative bubble is not going to go
So
off.
you think it'll just grow bigger
Nope,
forever
they'll
and never
drain it.
stop? They can't
They'll
drain. They don't. First of all, they don't even know how much it is. They have no
nope,
idea.
nope,
They don't know how much the U.S. debt is.
nope.
They say 21 trillion. Cass and Austin Fitts finds 30 trillion. I'm saying it's infinity right now. They
It
print money and they don't tell people.
it don't even worry about printing money. That's all part of the illusion too. It's there is an infinite amount of money because there's an infinite amount of credit. What what is real credit right now? Real credit is an illusion. It's adding ones and zeros to a computer. It's it it isn't real. It's all an illusion, but the real assets are going to be drained into the new cryptocurrency world. And it's going to be relatively quick, but it's not going to be in a way that people think. There's not going to be a crash. There's not going to be a. They will hold up the Deutsche Bank long enough to transition, create a cryptocurrency bank that will absorb the Deutsche Bank. They'll revalue. No, they'll revalue those derivatives into a crypto that they create.
But that's what I'm saying. You can't revalue $45 trillion in derivatives, because for every debt that Deutsche Bank has, somebody else is claiming it as their asset on their books. That's why these banks, too big to fail, cannot be cryptoized. They can't be derivatized. They have to be destroyed. That's what they tried
No,
to do in 2008. We were that close in 2008 on September 11th at 11 o'clock in the morning. We were that close to everything stopping, which would destroy the plan you're talking about. And we're coming there again.
it won't. They're not going to destroy it. They're going to revalue it into a new currency. What? All right. What do all of the gold bugs say? What do all of the silver bugs say? This system's going to collapse. This system's going to collapse. Well, what do they mean by that? It's not going to collapse. It's just the real value of silver and gold comparative to the amount of printed money. So it isn't that it's going to collapse, it's going to be revalued into a different asset or a different currency.
How do you revalue, say, $200 quadrillion worth of derivatives?
You make one Bitcoin $100 million.
That wouldn't do anything. The debt is still out there. The
No,
obligation to pay off on those derivatives is still there.
yeah, and they'd pay it in Bitcoin.
They don't have Bitcoin.
How do you think it's going to get to $100 million?
So you're saying they're just going to continue to blow the bubbles bigger and bigger and bigger, and
And
then
as they're
inflate all
blowing
those
it,
bubbles and put them into cryptos, and then we still have that debt on everybody's shoulders for
no,
the
no,
rest of
no,
our lives and our children's lives? No.
no, 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 no. That quote unquote debt is going to be inflated away over a period of time. Whereas the usage of cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin spreads, as you and I do our adoption tours, more and more people will own more and more Bitcoin. As and it'll come in waves. As more and more people actually adopt the cryptocurrency, it will balance out. It won't be perfect, but it will balance out the old the old debts will be able to be paid with the inflation of the new currency. I know it sounds complicated, but it's
No,
absolute.
it sounds wrong. It sounds like
No,
it would take 10 to 20 years for something like that to happen. I don't think we have it. I think the creation of money has been
why haven't we collapsed yet?
because they rigged the markets.
Why
If they
can't they keep rigging markets?
Because we don't want to. We're the largest debtor nation
But
in the world. We don't want to rig it anymore.
what are we going to do?
We're going to click a mouse, bang, over. The derivative bubble gone. Deutsche Bank, bang, gone, takes
No, no.
down Citibank, JP
All right,
Morgan.
all right. Yep, yep, yep. Who's we?
Anybody with their Trump could do it. Whoever's got their finger on
He
that little
could
switch
do it.
the market
Will
every
he?
day. Well, that's the big question. Catherine Austin
Has he
Fitts
done
said,
it
if
yet?
you had that red button, would you press it? We haven't for over 100 years. And because
And
nobody
we're not
has the
going to do it
balls to
now.
do it, we are suffering because of what our parents did and our grandparents did. That's what really fucking gets me.
I
It is their fault that we are in the position we are in today. I'm not going to saddle my kids with any derivative debt that's been changed over to a cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
That is
You
immoral to do to our children and our
no,
grandchildren.
your children are going to be wealthy. Your children are going to be wealthy.
I don't want them
No,
to be wealthy. I don't want them to be saddled with the debt that we have now.
they won't because of you.
But where is the debt
You're
going to go?
trying to save the world. And I'm with you. I'm trying to shift the
I'm
world to
trying
a
to
better
end it.
place.
I'm trying to end the world that of the past that our chicken shit great grandparents back in 1913 couldn't have the balls to do.
Yeah, and and I'm right there with you, but you're not going to end anything. You all you can do is shift and change the direction. And then in 100 years, those people in the future are going to make the same fucking mistakes. It's it's we are never going to lose and we are never going to win. But what we can do is give to charities. We try and help people. We do our videos. You do your videos. You give out your message. You play your music. Your music makes me cry. People see me cry. They're like, oh my God, who's this fat truck driver blubbering all over the place? And it's, we're changing the world in a good way. It's just not going to happen overnight, and there's not going to be a collapse. That it will never happen because it has not ever happened before.
I
There's never.
disagree. I disagree. Every unbacked fiat currency has failed except for this one. And this one has lasted since 1971. And the only reason, there's only one reason it has lasted, and that's the invention of computers and derivatives to change markets, to change how markets work and react to monetary inflation. That's
You,
the only reason. Without that, without Greenspan inventing those first computer programs, this would have ended in 1981 when they had the Gold Commission report.
you,
It would have ended, and it hasn't because a new invention was made with of computers that can rig any market at any time, including the crypto markets.
yeah, but you just said that every fiat currency ended. Yeah, but they still have money.
Yeah, they start fresh. Look at Zimbabwe. How do
What
they get? Oh, they didn't get through it. They're creating
and
their own money again.
and what happened? They transitioned into another fiat currency that inflated again. This is how you get rid of. Uh, this is how you get. This is how you transition from a global fiat system into a global deflationary.
But it never has been a global world's reserve currency that was
Right.
fiat. The U.S. dollar is the closest thing to it, and it has never happened. It's always been regional collapses. A country will collapse or an area will collapse when they abuse their currencies. It has never been global. This is a global unbacked fiat currency. It's an insane monetary concept that the entire world would trust the United States of America, that they're not, going inventing a secret space program behind our back using hundreds of trillions of dollars that they create out of thin air and don't tell anybody about it. That's never
Yeah.
happened. So,
Oh,
so yes, you're right. Individual currencies have all failed, but at the end of the day, this is not about the individual country or an individual location or an individual currency. This is about a world reserve currency system, all rigged and controlled via computer programs out of the Exchange Stabilization Fund and the Fed. And where I see it going is the next World War III is going to be a computer war in the markets, where the bond market goes sideways because China's firing off their rigging algos the same time the Fed is, the same time JP Morgan is. They're all clashing, intersecting, prices make no sense, and boom, poof, gone.
all right. How If you ran the global system right now, what would you want to transition into?
Cryptocurrencies.
Okay, so we have cryptocurrencies. How would you transition from the old system into the new system? Would you collapse it or would you slowly transition it over?
The problem with slow transition, I know, I see where you're getting. The collapse is horrific, and I agree. The problem with the slow transition is we're going to get different rulers in a couple years that'll say, "Oh my God, it's too crazy to do this." And that's how we ended up here today. We get back to my argument that my grandfather screwed up when he created the Federal Reserve. Shouldn't have done it. They should have taken the lumps back in 1913 that they should have taken, and they decided not to. And then from there until here, it's been it just gets worse. You can't, it will never be better time than right now to end the system because it's just growing bigger and more people will be affected by the end of it. There is never a better time than right now at this very moment to end it because
I
we shouldn't be in this position right now. It is horrific what's going to happen, but we got in it because people were too chicken to make the move back then.
I completely agree with you, and it is going to happen. But what I'm saying is that through technology, the governments are going to become less and less relevant.
And we're going to have
And
like Google and Apple in charge of our lives. I hope not. And
no,
Facebook.
creative destruction always wins. It
Well,
always wins.
that's what I've been arguing for. Creative destruction as in get rid of these damn banks. Let them fail. You don't have to do anything either. All you have to do is remove yourself from rigging the markets. Take the Fed and the Treasury and the Exchange Stabilization Fund out of the markets, see where the chips fall, and then clean up.
Yep, that is going to happen. It's just not going to be a all at once event. It's going to be this bank will fail, then that bank will fail. Then
So you think bailouts?
no, I don't think they'll be bailed out. I think that their assets will be revalued in cryptocurrencies.
Well, that can't happen one at a time. I mean, whose crypto is going to be in there buying mortgage-backed derivatives?
No, the asset.
But the assets on most of these banks' balance sheets are derivatives. They're mortgage-backed securities. They're credit default swaps. They're asset-backed
They're
derivatives. I mean, it's all bullshit.
it. I'm not saying it's going to be pretty, but I, I also think that as we live through it day by day, like right now, I think we're in the collapse. We're in it. The economy is not doing well. We have uh, we have a lot of bad things in the economy right now, but and there are people whose worlds are collapsing. They think it's like I guarantee you right now, there is a guy who lost his job this morning, and he's got to go home and he has to tell his wife that they can't afford their house and they're going to have to move and all that. That guy's in the middle of a collapse. I'm sitting out here smoking a cigarette, talking with a close friend on the internet with thousands of people going to watch this. My life's not in a collapse. It's all perspective. Like you live in a nice house. I guarantee when you hang up, you go out to eat with your wife or whatever. Somebody in the world right now is going through a collapse, and that's how it's going to be. We're all going to have ups and downs in our life, but it's not going to be one huge collapse where the whole economic system
So
goes away.
you don't believe in the concept, the too big to fail bank. You don't think you think those banks can fail and everything will be, I mean, not fine, but you think we'll be just trudging along without much of a hiccup if Deutsche
No,
Bank goes down?
no. Oh no, there'll be a hiccup. There'll absolutely be a hiccup that will probably be Trump will actually put up an economic wall. He'll launch a new fucking currency out of the treasury. It's things will if Deutsche Bank goes under, Trump's gonna put up an economic wall around America like you ain't ever fucking seen before.
I agree. And I've been talking about that for years, and I think it will be backed by Bitcoin. I think the U.S. government was heavily involved in
That's what I'm
Satoshi's
saying.
Bitcoin. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. The Bitcoin, when I say Bitcoin, I guess maybe that's where I didn't explain it. There will be currencies issued off of, like the Lightning Network. The Lightning Network has its own coin. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
All right. It's mathematically coded to only be able to actually be created when it recognizes the addition of the code of the Bitcoin into a wallet. So you cannot artificially create these coins without putting an actual Bitcoin into a Lightning wallet.
So it's a proxy of the Bitcoin to be traded on the network. Okay, that makes sense.
Right.
But
Oh,
it's not a coin that can be traded like in an exchange. Okay.
nope. You cannot remove the Lightning coin out of the Lightning network. It's
Why do they
only
even call it a coin?
well, they don't. It's actually called an SAT. Uh, I don't remember what that's an acronym for, but like right now, I have I have $61 on my Lightning node wallet, right, of actual Bitcoin. That is when you press it, it shows the amount of SATs that is equivalent
Okay.
to that.
As long as it's not SDRs.
No. And and that's and it's all going to be electronically tied in with the code. This is all code. Oh, any currency or any derivative that is linked with actual Bitcoin, and this is why I'm curious on seeing how they run this new exchange. Are they running it on a blockchain exchange?
Which on Ledger X?
Yeah, bingo. Not the others, Ledger X. Ledger X is a cryptocurrency company. Oh, what I think they're going to have is they're going to have an internal network that resembles the Lightning Network.
Well, they already have platforms that are up and running and trading. The company's been around for a while. The only new thing that came is the approval by the CFTC for futures. So I don't see them straying too far from where they are now with what they do. I mean, it's pretty small, but you're right that it's important in that it opens the floodgates for a lot of people to say, well, if you let them do it with this formula, why can't we do it with this formula?
Right.
But
And
that's the CFTC too. It's you talked about the Winklevoss guys. That would be the SEC. The
yeah,
CFTC and the
yeah.
SEC are like night and day. They used to put all the stupid lawyers at the CFTC and all the as smart as you can get to be a government lawyer at the SEC, and that was the running joke. Now I'm not so sure because the CFTC got so much shit for being horrible and corrupt. They used to call it the comics used to be called the Crimex in gold
Yeah.
and silver, and which is true. But I say you win this debate. You absolutely win this debate because you pointed out some great things about implementing blockchain within a derivatives market which at least is better than, and it's coming anyway.
Yeah.
So if we can't, I'm still going to fight them. I will always fight them, just to spread the knowledge that, hey, these markets are still rigged. I know Bitcoin just went up, but the markets are still rigged. But having that, at least something that we can say, hey, you're not trading on this blockchain. Show me your coins, and they have to scramble and go get coins. And I like that idea.
Yeah. Plus, what I think they're doing, judging off of some of the interviews I've heard of the leadership teams, a lot of these companies aren't evil. They just believe in a corrupt system. They've grown up in a system,
Absolutely, yeah.
and so that's what they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
And what they're going to do is they're going to use the blockchain technology. And they're not going to say, we're using blockchain because it's so honest. No, they're going to say, we're going to use a network like the Lightning Network to handle the derivative transactions on our site out of efficiency and cost saving. That's what they're going to look
Yeah.
at. And what they're going to do is, if you actually want to create an account at one of these companies, you're going to have to deposit the actual Bitcoin, just like in your Lightning wallet. You're going to have to deposit it.
Or a portion of it.
But, well, they're saying that
We'll find
it's
out. Yeah.
1-to-1. All right. Well, we'll be able to check it with blockchain.
Well,
And
but you're not going to see the volume of trades. It's like J.P. Morgan says, okay, here's our position. And oh, by the way, if our position is 100 million ounces of silver, today we traded 6 trillion ounces just back and forth to our friends to set the price lower. They still say, what? There's my blockchain. I got a lot of Bitcoin in there. It doesn't mean that they, during the day, they don't rig the price with high frequency trades.
but through the global competition and using arbitrage, they'd be stupid to, because
True. But we thought that with gold and silver. I mean, they can use
but
arbitrage with gold and silver.
gold and silver is not trackable and not easily removable.
Well, true, but it's not that hard. I mean, you look what happens. Yeah, if it's instant removal, I don't think it will be. You see, I mean, what you're saying, I don't think is possible without everything changing, without high frequency trading just completely ending, because you could destroy the exchange. One thing, I listened to a interview of the COO or something of Ledger X, a woman, and she was saying that they're liable. They're liable if anything gets screwed up. So they're like, I'm like, then you're gonna have no volume. If you're gonna handcuff these, JP Morgans of the world who want to do high frequency trades in a futures market, you're gonna have no volume.
No. They will have volume, because although J.P. Morgan may not want to play with them, the honest players will.
Yeah.
And the honest players, because we also have to remember that that people that are getting into these markets, they want the price of these cryptocurrencies to go up.
I disagree. I think
It
the largest players want to control the price up and down. They want to make money when they go up, and they want to make money when they go down. So they'll do what JP Morgan does. They'll bring the price up. Somebody brought the price up just recently. Bang, they're going to slam it down. They'll make money coming and going as they short at the top. It has been seen time, and that's the way market traders work.
Not if the money they're trying to make is being devalued every day by the Federal Reserve and other global banks.
Maybe
They're
that would be a paradigm shift.
that's what's going to happen. They're going to value the Bitcoin more than they value the dollar.
Like a real asset they're trading.
Bingo. And that's what's going to happen. That's why this exchange is going to work, because people, that's why the CBOE or whichever one just quit the futures market on Bitcoin. I don't remember which one quit, and then there's one left actually doing it
Oh,
in
yeah.
Chicago. Well, those those are cash settled futures. This is a Bitcoin settled future. And as the Federal Reserve drops the interest rate next month and starts cranking out more and more money, that inflation is going to, number one, mostly go into, I think, cryptocurrencies, a little into the stock market, but I think pretty soon you're going to start seeing, like, I think that Google or Amazon or Apple are going to be the first companies to tokenize their shares.
I can see that. Yeah. Hey,
And
Ben, I
yeah,
unfortunately I got to go pick my kid up from school.
well, we've only been talking for 3-4 hours.
I know. I could go on forever, and we will go on forever. I did want to make an announcement that it's official. I will be putting on a show in Spokane, Washington on the 13th of July.
All right.
Rudapalooza, 13th of July, and it's silver area. So David Morgan's going to come out and talk silver. It's going to be a blast. I'll put more information out at Road to Ruda. If you guys want to check out Road to Ruda, go to roadtoruda.com. And I hear Ben is diving into secret people on his Patreon. So make sure you get in on my Patreon and on his Patreon.
Yes, a couple of my inside guys have agreed to actually come on my show to help us. As I told them, I'd like to do it on Patreon to reward the Patreon guys and gals, and that will help you and I and others with our tour and all of the charity events we got coming up and all that, because I'm trying to raise money to, like, travel, and they're actually wanting to help out. Oh,
Awesome. And so everybody listening, get onto Ben's Patreon. You got to up the price. It's only what, $5? Mine's double yours.
No, I'm not going to raise it. I mean,
You
$5.
get a Snippy, you charge $100 or whatever he charges.
Yeah, I think he charges like 20 or 25. I don't remember.
He's got different layers and no,
But
that's Dick Allgaier has like 47 different layers and tiers.
yeah, I only charge $5. I figure
That's plenty.
that's a pretty good little amount of money.
Yeah.
And that's reasonable, I think.
And your expenses are cheap. I've seen where you sleep.
Yeah.
And you only drink domestic beer. You go for quantity.
Exactly. All right, my friend. Well, you have a great evening, and it was a pleasure talking to you, like always.
Nice job, Ben. Good win.
Yeah. Love you, Bix.
All right. Talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye.